What's up, guys? Working on the Rabbit today. My neighborhood's got a lot of noise going on because there's a block party happening tonight. A bunch of neighbors of mine are artists, so they're having like a paint competition over here. It's gonna be pretty cool. But anyway, so good news and more good news. First set of good news is on the other side of this bush there used to be a Mark IV Jetta. It was my daily driver. For those that don't know, I did a timing belt and water pump on it like 5,000 miles ago, and about a week ago the timing belt failed already. So with all the money I put into that car, once the timing belt and tensioner failed prematurely, I said fuck it and just sold it. So that just left about an hour ago. Other good news is I'm installing the DieselGeek Sigma6 shifter, which is all over here. I already took the stock unit off, and this was in real bad shape. So here is what they call the belt crank. This slides into this guy right here on top of the transmission, and it is for your side-to-side movement, really important. And this one is the front-to-back movement, end link. This one you can see all the play that I have in here. So I had about a 1/4 inch of movement before the shifter, the cable would even shift the transmission at all, before he would even try to disengage the previous gear. There was a lot of play down here where it meets on the splines for the mechanism. There was a lot of play where the whole shift weight would kind of move this way. So that's 2 issues I had with it. Third issue was the side-to-side end link. I've removed all the rubber in it, but it was previously there. However, when I went to pull it off of the bell crank, what was left of the dry cracked rubber broke off completely. So I took the rest of it off, which is right there. So now it's empty. You have to empty it out and take all the guts out of it, whatever rubber was left, because on the Sigma6, the new design, which is the newest version of the Sigma6 shifter, you have to put these Delrin inserts in there. So that's the only way they'll snap in place, super snug. If there's any rubber in there, you will never get them in there. Now, the owner of DieselGeek has a video on installing the Sigma6 shifter. So I initially was going to do an install video, then I changed my mind because of the fact that he had a real in-depth video showing how to install it. But when I searched for it, I found the install video. What I didn't see in that video was how he assembled the new belt crank, because it's in several pieces. However, if you go to the website and you look at the Sigma6 shifter listing to buy it, he has like 6 or 7 videos at the bottom of the screen that show you how to assemble the entire kit, how to install it, how to uninstall your OEM one. Like, he does a video on every step of the way, which is great, and I can't top that. But what I will do is I will talk about installing this, so you don't have to go to that particular video if you don't want to. I'll show you how to put all these guys together and what size tools you need for all of this. It's not a whole lot. And then once I install it, I will drive the car and see how it feels. So, uninstalling and installing. So to take the mechanism off, the whole shift linkage, the end links, if you don't already know, you compress the spring this way and you twist it, and it locks them in place. So I'll show you when you unlock it, you twist it and it falls apart. Let me go grab this real quick. So yeah, that had a shit ton of spring pressure. Anyway, so you compress them, you turn them essentially clockwise or however you want to look at it. They lock in place and you can take them off. You have a clip like this that goes on. Sorry about all the noise. I really hate Harley Davidson motorcycles. They don't know how to drive quietly. They're always wide open throttle. You slide this clip off of your front to back, which is the one that's on the left over here. You slide that off, you can take the end link off of there. On the stock units, the belt crank sits like this. So in order to get the side-to-side end link off, you have to squeeze it off of here. It's like a small, there's a little cut in there so the plastic can flex and you can slide this piece off when it's connected to the rest of the end link. Same thing with this guy down here. You'll want to use pliers like this, needle nose pliers, whatever you can get down there. And you see there's a couple different surfaces you can squeeze down on. Mainly it's just the center one right here. Squeeze it down and you can pull it out. And if you're installing the DieselGeek Sigma6, you don't need to worry about breaking any of this stuff. But if you're just removing it to reinstall it, I'd be very careful not to break any of the plastic. So yeah, so now the bell crank. Let me put my phone up so I can show you with 2 hands. Alright, so it came in all these separate pieces. There's a nut on the back. The actual pivot pin is right here. Alright, it's the long one. There's 2 pins actually. They're both different length and sizes. You can't mix them up, they only go in one way. The long one is the pivot itself. It slides into this recession perfectly, set up for the hex. You put this nut on the other side, and then just like the exhaust nuts, it's compressed, it's crushed right here, so it's real tight. So when you tighten it down all the way, you don't need any Loctite or anything like that. It sits like this, so this upper pin here is for the end link, and it just threads in there. Like I said, you can't mix them up because they're different size threads. You can't get one inside the other. This threads in there nice and tight. I don't see any Loctite in this, so you could put a little dab if you want. And then this is for the slider. So it threads in there, its own size. Slide it right on there. That's how it sits. Now, for this pin, the slider, and this pin for the end link, they're 14mm. And what I'll be using is a wrench. Get them on there, tighten them up. Nothing on the back side of those. This one just sits in the hex recession. And this right here is actually a 1/2-inch nut, but a 13mm will work. I don't have a 1/2 inch. I probably do somewhere, but I'm just going to use a 13mm because I use 99% metric tools. So that will be together, just like that. And it comes with the 2 clips that you need to slide over here when you get your end links on there. Slide them on like that until they clip. So try not to lose those. I have everything scattered here like a dumbass. If anything falls, I'll probably lose it forever. Now, the side-to-side end link, you're going to be using the OEM end link with the new version. So what you do is you take apart all the rubber that's left over in here. I just use a flathead and get underneath the 4 corners, pry it all out. And then the new pieces are made of Delrin. So you get them in at an angle. You can kind of get it in where it needs to be. And you snap them in there just like this. It's a little tricky, but the harder it is, the better it is because there's no slop. Just like that. Alright. It comes with these little inserts that go inside the shaft that the pivot pin rides in. So you'll put one here, the other one will go on the opposite side. And here is the front to back with the base. As you see here, it's got a mark on it that has, instead of a full-on tooth right here, it's just got a full-on empty space. Essentially, like he explains in his video, 2 teeth are essentially connected on the spline itself down here. You'll line that up with the 2 teeth that are connected so they fit inside that gap, and so it only fits on one way with this facing the firewall. You'll take these 4 bolts out. You'll match the shape of this bracket up to the bottom of this, and you'll reinstall the bolts. You'll get them snug. Wouldn't tighten them down yet because you want this to fit on top of it, or you want the cable to fit inside this nice and easily without any grinding against the threaded section that's on the inside. So once you get the cable in there, you can install all these and get them somewhat snug. And I'll show you what's next. I actually wanted to show something real quick. So when I first went to slide this one onto the cable, it was a bit tight. I'd slide it onto the smooth section. As soon as it got to the threads, it would not want to go on. So they include this bolt that's bigger than the ones that you actually fasten it down with. It is a 5mm Allen head, and it comes with this washer in here. Now, I believe I saw him using it as a spreader tool, so that's what I'm doing here. I got it threaded in one of the holes. I'm just, for my idea of spreading it out without spreading it too much here and having too much work down here, I kind of put it over here in the second hole. I'm not sure if I'm using it exactly like he was, but I put the washer inside to where it's actually blocking the hole, so the bolt cannot go through the center of the washer. So as you tighten it, it actually spreads the two sections apart. So you tighten it and it will spread the this thing apart. And then that should do it. You can pull the bolt back out and it'll fit over there nice and smooth. You don't have to keep it in there because he's probably not going to want to go in with the washer in there. As you can see, it crushes that part of the washer and forces the other sides to open up. So I'm going to go see how it fits now. I need to open it up more still. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get it on there and not make you watch all this. Alright, got it opened up enough where it slid right on there. As you can see, the base is fitting onto the splines perfectly straight, so it's going to be oriented like that. And I'm going to take that bolt and washer out and start connecting everything else. Alright, so I got that stuff on. Nothing's tight, just kind of put in place. So I'm going to finish assembling the bell crank right here. I'm going to tighten up the pins. So the pivot pin itself with the nut on the back is going to be, put that down there. Pivot pin with the nut on the back is going to be 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter. I'm using a 13. So we get it nice and tight. Nice and snug. The other ones are going to be, I'm going to use my 14 mil wrench because I don't know what happened to my deep socket 14 mil, but I'm going to tighten the pin for the slider right there at the bottom and the end link pin at the top, both 14s. Actually, you know what? I'm going to install those with some thread locker. So let me go grab that. And like with anything I use thread locker on, just medium blue. Stand by. Thread locker was not wanting to come off. The cap was kind of permanently bonded. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and pause the video and get this together real quick. All right, now that that's out of the way, you're gonna install the bell crank like this. Got the slider on the bottom, pivot pin in the center, and link pin up top, thread locker fastened, nut on the back fastened. So I'm going to try to, well, if it didn't fall apart, I'm going to go ahead and slide it in place. Just like that. Now you can adjust the shifter. Mine's locked in place. I'm going to go ahead and unlock it so that you can get the mechanism. Oh, I just didn't have it on all the way. There we go. All right, we're flush. You can see the pin came through all the way on the bottom side, so you can put the plastic insert on the opposite side, slide it in all the way. Needs a little bit more to go, so let me adjust. Alright, now we slide the clip on. Make sure you hear it click. Need more clearance. It's really hard to do it with one hand, just like everything. There we go. There we are. Now we get the side-to-side end link on with the Delrin inserts pressed into the plastic with no rubber. Kind of slide it over the cable. Bring it forward over the pivot pin, or not the pivot pin, but the end link pin. Just like that. Final clip. There we go. So it's installed. We just got to tighten up the 4mm Allen bolts for that. Luckily, this design does not have the nuts on the bottom, so you don't have to hold a wrench down there, which was the pain in the ass for the earlier version. And tighten down the 13mm nut at the base right here. I know you can barely see it. I don't have a phone holder that can hold my phone under the hood very well, so and then we'll work on getting the end link snapped in place correctly. Now I want to make note that before you actually tighten these 4 bolts down all the way for the front to back cable, you're gonna want to go inside and put the pin that they come in with. 5mm pin that they come with in the kit is going to go in the shifter. I'm sure you know how to do that, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Already got the shifter lifted up. So the shifter is going to kind of move towards second gear. It's a real tight fit, which is what's so good about this. The least amount of tolerance possible, the more accurate the shifting will be. This one's super tight. Alright, bring it back a little bit. Really hard to do with one hand on this. Alright, let's see if I can manage. I'll pause the video again for this one. It's really hard to get that in there with such tight tolerances. Okay, it shouldn't have been so difficult, but it was. Tore up my glove and everything. Anyway, let's continue. Alright, so now that that is locked in place, I also have the 90-degree locking lever. Super impossible to see from here. This guy right here. You're going to want to push down on the mechanism. It moves like maybe 1/8 of an inch down. Holding it down, you'll be able to rotate this up to 10, a roughly 10 o'clock position where it's pointing up. It pretty much comes up and faces the master or the slave cylinder bleeder block. Anyway, it's already locked in place. I got the 5mm pin on the shifter. Everything's locked in place, so I can go ahead and tighten these 4 bolts down. Hope you don't mind the soundtrack. This is my neighborhood. A party is better than no party. So tighten it little by little instead of going all the way down on one of them. It's like you're doing a sequence like anything else, really. A little bit there. I heard this song before, like some cheesy teenage movie. Like American Pie or some shit, I don't know. And you don't have to make it super tight. You know, if it's snug, you know that the threads are catching and it's not going to slip. As tight as I'm going to go on that one. I'm going to go backwards. Alright. I would say it's definitely less than a spark plug as far as torque goes. These are all aluminum threaded, so you don't want to over tighten it anyway. You'll strip it out. And luckily there are 4 bolts, but that'll be just less fastening. Alright, 4 bolts are tight. So our front to back is 100% done. Our side to side here, what you want to do is you want to push down on the linkage a little bit. There's not much play, if anything at all. Yeah, there's none here, which is fucking awesome. So all you gotta do is you gotta turn this the opposite direction to where you locked it, let it snap in place. Alright, so we're gonna do that now. Make sure there's no movement. It's crazy. Alright. You actually want to make sure it snaps down in place too, so this my particular end link, the notches where the 2 plastic ends actually lock into place are a bit worn out, so it's hard to lock them like it is now. So go ahead and, alright, that's as good as it's gonna get. So we're gonna go ahead and drive it like that. I'm gonna unlock it, the black 90-degree L-shaped lever. I guess I'm gonna unlock that after I unlock the shifter in the car since it's so damn stiff. Alright. The pin was a little bit easier taking it out. Alright, this is fully unlocked. Let's go ahead and see how it moves on the inside of the car. Damn, that feels crazy. Now, I had a Sigma 6 from DieselGeek before on the Jetta. When the car got wrecked and totaled, I ended up selling the 6-speed short shifter from DieselGeek to Cameron, who also got my 6-speed with the LSD in it and all that stuff. So, man, that feels awesome. I'm also going to install the first gear getter, which goes right here, but I'm probably not going to do that today. I think in order to successfully do that, I gotta take this bracket off, and I just gotta have more room. I gotta take the glove box. Gotta take the center console out, I guess. So I'll leave that for another day, but I'm gonna go pause the video and get everything else buttoned up and tools put away, and I'll go for a drive. All right, car's already running. Just get it in the gear, and I gotta say, first impressions of getting it through the gears just sitting here was insane. I forgot how these felt because I haven't driven on this Sigma 6 in like a year or so, and it just, wow. Don't mind the buzzing from the stupid AC vent. The actuator is fucked up. So car's feeling pretty good with the Black Forest Stage 3 clutch. Got like 1,000 miles on it now. May or may not have had some fun. And the clutch just feels nice. So I'm gonna test out the adjustments on this Sigma 6 by getting straight into traffic. What better way? What better way to try? Vibrations in this car, so you're probably going to hear a bunch of that from Black Forest Stage 2 engine mounts. Yeah, the throw in this thing is awesome. We're in 4th gear now. Let's go to 3rd. Ever. Very satisfied. This one was a lot easier to install than the first version. I like the first version too. It had both, basically all components were just billet aluminum, so you didn't have use of the OEM side-to-side end link, but honestly, as long as your end link doesn't look like crap, it still looks good. If it's got clean plastic on it, you get rid of all the dry rotted rubber, I don't really see an issue there. It's still a very nice looking shifter. More importantly, it's very precise. I love it. But now, I gotta get a 6-speed knob on this car. Still rocking the 5. Anyway, that's the end of the video. So short and sweet DieselGeek Sigma6 install and a little review. I'm gonna have to relearn driving this car again apparently, but it shifts fucking nice. I like this thing. I highly recommend it. Go ahead and grab yourself one. If you still have a 5-speed, they got the Sigma 5. If you got a 6-speed, go ahead and grab that. Enjoy. See you guys later.